Today is Saturday, March 23rd, 2019. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is the listener feedback show for week 5 of Survivor Edge of Extinction.
We're just really enjoying that music, huh? I came across a great article about the guy who founded that company and how he ended up coming about creating the jukedeck.com solution. These are musical composition solutions. I know this has nothing to do with Survivor other than we use it as
we were just bebopping
free music, but some people have said they enjoyed it, and I've used that, and there was another solution called Amper that was available for a little while that it was the same kind of thing. What they do is they feed all these melodies and tunes in, and it learns how to compose music based on the patterns that it observes in thousands and thousands of songs. And then you can say, and then they label it, oh, this has got this kind of mood, this is cinematic, this is action oriented, things like that. And then you can go in and basically pick from those labels, and it'll construct a song from it. Sometimes it makes a mess, but other times it comes out with something that's very functional and fun and usable. So I'll try to include that in the show notes. I think I saved that, bookmarked that off because I was interested in how it actually worked. And
yeah, I think you've put it in the show notes before.
No, I always link to Juke Deck, but that's where you can go to the people who provide that. That's where I got these songs, Anxious Abyss, Soulful Spheres, and some others that I saved off that I thought might work during the season at some point. What I'm saying is this is background on how it's made.
Oh, okay.
That kind of thing, and the guy who created jukedeck.com, so it was very interesting. And that has nothing to do with this awesome double episode and all this fantastic listener feedback we've got this week.
And occasionally, when you play something for me, I veto it immediately. I use my power of veto and go,
Now that we've established that, and you've made a dumpster fire reference to another show.
Well, no, you know me and heavy metal type. Anything that even remotely has anything that...
You have to be in exactly the right mood, and it's a rare occurrence.
True. That's true.
That's what I understand about you and metal.
You have to be ready to partay.
Yeah.
Which for me anymore is,
Sometimes I use that when I'm coding
shuffle
or
through the house. But.
Working on something. So, yeah, exactly. All right, so that's more than they ever wanted to know about our interest in music and how it's made and how they make the sausage, all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. What we're more interested in is what the superfans thought about this double episode. Do you think they enjoyed it as much as us? I'm looking forward to digging in and finding out.
Let's find out.
All right, let's kick it off. First up, we got a call from Pete.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. This is Pete from Boston calling here. Holy cow. That was an unbelievable double episode. If only we got those every episode, not just one. But I gotta let out a great big woo!
High pitched.
Woo! And now sing with me. And this is only for Wendy. Na 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 na. Hey, goodbye. Wendy, you were lucky you made it this long, girl. She finally got what was coming, and yet I still did not see that coming at all. Wow, that was amazing. Both tribal councils were amazing. Think about it. You had a returning player in Aubry who had everything handed to her. She had the idol, and she ended up having a vote steal from Rick, and yet it all backfired with an idol in her pocket, just like I think Malcolm had happened to, and JT, and James, and Ozzy, all those great players. players that got voted out with idols in their pockets. But that Survivor, expect the unexpected. But the second tribal council was just insane. I don't know what was going to happen, if it was going to be Eric or if it was going to be one of those girls, Lauren or Wentworth. I'm yelling, why aren't they playing the idol? But they didn't need to, of course, as Wendy got voted out in the revote. They all came together because no one trusted her, and I can't say that I blame them. I just hope she doesn't come back in, really pulling for Chris or Rick or Aubry to come back in the game. What a great episode. And how about finally we get some noise at Extinction Island? Of course, of all people, who would have thought Keith would be the one leading the charge to go see what the advantages were? Keith and Reem are going nowhere. To me, I still believe Chris, Rick, or Aubry are going to come back in. But I want to know, Joanne and Stacey, I'm going to have to check out extra clips here. Is it going to be like Pearl Islands with the Outcast twist where they face the other team and all that, the merge team, or are they going to have just one duel and one person comes back? Because Pearl Islands, it was two people and they got voted back in, so we'll see. But I think it's just one person, and I'm going to say I'm hoping it's Chris or Rick or Aubry again, but we'll see. But I love this episode, guys. So we have Wentworth and Lauren with idols, two women that no one really knows has idols, not even Wardog. Wardog is insane. He's all over the place. His head is making me dizzy. And Joey Amazing strikes again, but I feel like it's going to come to an end next week at the merge. I think if he doesn't win immunity, he's off to the Extinction Island. So we'll see how it goes, guys. Want to hear what everyone else had to say. Take care. Woo!
Whoa. All right. Thanks, Pete. Good stuff.
Okay. Number
Talk about
one.
the challenge.
No, not yet. Number one, I will not be at all surprised if Wendy wins her way back in.
Okay.
I think
you are talking about the challenge.
I am talking about the challenge, but more specifically right now, I think that she could be a threat to get back in, especially we've seen there's pictures of a little bit of the challenge. And I'm
Pete's question.
Yes, and it does look that it's definitely just between, from what I could see, the people from Extinction.
Right. It's only them lining up, and you can see the merge tribe because they have their merge buffs. Right, they're awesome merge buffs, which some more folks will talk about as we go through this. That you can see them looking on. So I think to answer Pete's question is that they're just squaring off against each other to win a spot to come back in.
Yeah, and I think it's a challenge that anybody could win, though I wouldn't expect Keith or Reem.
It looks very physical, so yeah,
but
it
not
depends
too
on
physical for Aubry or Wendy to compete. I don't think.
Right, or Rick for that matter, because he's not like a stellar specimen either.
I included Rick in
Yeah.
that group.
There's Chris in a league by himself, and then probably Wendy, and then the rest of them.
Well, there's no water, so Keith has an advantage there that he doesn't have to get in the water.
Right.
But I don't know. I guess Reem did okay in challenges before, but I, for some reason, just don't think she has the strength. She's so small now. She's lost so much weight. And Keith, I see him as more of an uncoordinated kind of person.
He's got that duck walk going on, so it's just hard to see him speeding through anything.
Okay, well, I don't know about the duck walk, but...
You know, when people's feet splay out to
I know what
a
duck walk is, but I don't know about Keith's.
He's not speedy.
So...
Yeah. Well, that's my
But yeah,
observation.
I didn't think that he would be that good in the challenge. But the other four, I thought, I think any one of them could do this.
Yeah, and since Chris is most likely going to get penalized with extra nights from Keith, so that's going to even the playing field. So to your original point, yeah, there's probably a good chance that Wendy could end up taking this.
So I don't know what the end puzzle or whatever it is.
No, you can't quite see that. You can just see them facing there's like a rope obstacle that they've got to come down the other side of.
Yeah, but I kind of felt like I think it would be equal for everyone to be winnable. It's not something that would favor this one or that one significantly.
Yeah, the somewhat equalizer, I guess, when you've got someone that's hyper physical the way Chris is well, disadvantaging them by giving them extra work to do.
Exactly.
Or potentially having a puzzle at the end. But he seems like a pretty smart guy, so I don't know that that would necessarily handicap him in that regard. We'll see.
But anyway,
Excited for that.
Anybody could come back.
Absolutely. All right, so we've got a call from Justin, and Justin clears up a misconception that I had. So let's check in with Justin.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. It's Justin from Michigan. I just read a Dalton Ross article this morning that did say that Aubry will not be able to keep her immunity idol or advantage, rather extra vote, if she does get back into the game. I was kind of surprised they didn't show any dialogue between Devins and Aubry. You know, they didn't spend a lot of time with that group out there, but I was kind of surprised they didn't show Rick, you know, make a joke or something like, oh, I tried to save you or whatever. So that kind of surprised me that it wasn't mentioned. Speaking of advantages, I wonder what the update is on Ron's plan. I know he hasn't been to tribal council, but I wonder if he has something in the works, thinking back to how he was trying to kind of have a fake alliance with Joe. I wonder if he's going to use that against Joe, if he's going to, you know, rip off the bottom and say, hey, Joe, I have this advantage that we can use, and then kind of blindside him that way. My new favorite to win the game is probably the redhead, Victoria. She's probably my biggest favorite to win now, how she was able to deceive Aubry. I wonder if she'll have the same approach on the other returning players. I think David would be very susceptible to that if she approaches him with the same type of fake alliance. Kelly may be the most guarded of the 4 returning players, so I think she might be able to see through it. I can definitely see David falling for something like that, if that's her master plan to get rid of all the returning players. And as far as the challenges go, Wardog really needs to have some self-awareness. I mean, I understand not everybody has played baseball, not everybody's a quarterback, but come on. You need to be able to throw it. I think it was probably only 20 feet. Heck, my 2.5-year-old can throw a little beanbag 10 feet across the room. That was just ridiculous, and just this throwing motion is just so terrible. It reminded me of how I would imagine Keith to throw. You know, it was just pathetic. And for somebody who's presumably athletic and somebody that was in the military, he has really been showing that he's not very good at much of anything. He said he's never fished a day in his life. I mean, he's not really living up to his name. Everybody that I know is in the military, loves to be outside, loves to fish. It's just very strange to me, these last couple episodes, how his character is kind of developing. Of course, you know, that whole tribe, David can't hold himself up. You know, he doesn't have the core and leg strength to just hold himself up. I thought they were doing a decent job of holding him. He just didn't have the core strength or the leg strength. And so that's just a mess. And Kelly, she looks like she'd be athletic, but she really isn't. She's not. I'd say she's slightly below average at just about everything physical. So that tribe is still in trouble. Speaking to challenges, Joe could pull a Mike Holloway. You know, you and Stacy and Joanne, you were debating whether he could win every challenge. Well, I think he's better at challenges than Mike Holloway was. He was able to run the table, so that'll be interesting. My final thoughts on the episode: I'm obviously glad to see Wendy finally get voted off. I kind of liked how that whole double tribal shook out. So I look forward to hearing everybody else. Thanks for listening.
All right. Thanks, Justin. Yeah, that was interesting that they decided to take away the idol and the vote. So they're going to let the person have an opportunity to stay in the game, but they're going to take those advantages away. That didn't get explained.
Those are gone because they didn't get played, so they're not in play anymore.
And there hasn't, to Justin's question about Ron, there hasn't been anything since that one extra video where he talked about how he, and this was a couple episodes back, I think, how he had planned, well, it was after the 3rd episode, I guess, how he had planned to leverage it.
However, there are extra clips of Wardog talking about how weak he is from the lack of protein and how his muscles just won't work.
And it's the classic
Which I'm sure it's true.
The classic meathead refrain, too, which is, I'm this big guy, I need more, but I'm just having the same as all the little people, so it's causing me more damage. And yeah,
it was more how he was talking about how other people who were like him and very muscular have had issues, and now he understands, what they were talking about. Now that he's there, and just that morning he noticed how weak his legs and arms were, and he's eating more than Lauren is, but she's still
performing well above him. Yeah. So that doesn't exactly hold water. Yeah.
Well, and if I'd seen him do miraculous things all along, it would be different. But he really hasn't stood out since day one, as far as I'm concerned, physically.
Strategically, that's a different story. He's been the shot caller in his tribe, for better, for worse, however you want to view the results. He's been in control of a lot of those decisions, whether he was actually calling the play or he was the swing boat from that.
I think just because he was the loudest and nobody wanted to have to deal with him. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of it was that. Or as Kelly
often said, well, regardless of what I think of him, he's actually right in the context of the game and how to best proceed for me, so I'm going to go with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that certainly happened quite a bit. Thanks, Justin. Yeah, I'll make sure to include a link in the show notes for the Dalton Ross Q&A with Probes, where he explained that.
They definitely, Lesu would not be happy if Wendy came back. And I would prefer it not be Wendy, but, if she wins it, she wins it. Good on her.
You're back to Wendy coming back, yeah.
I know, but I'm worried about it.
Okay, well, it's pretty much what's on Joanne's Mind show today.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Excuse me.
Thanks, Justin. Next up, we got an email from Mike in Omaha. Survivor fans, Joanne and Stacy, isn't it amazing when we have enough time to really appreciate this game? This double episode was bloody fantastic. Really great TV. I regret moving Aubry out of a vote-off spot, so now, while I'm hovering near the top of the JSFL leaderboard, I'm 1 point back. On the other hand, I honestly felt that Wendy was safe for some time. What also stings is that I knew David was going to be safe. I just felt it in my bones. But I hedged my bets and didn't keep him safe, so I'm naturally kicking myself for it. Yeah, that was a good time to have him safe. What's the matter with me that I keep making these last-minute changes to my detriment?
I've done that too.
I like your self-inspection there, introspection. It makes me feel about as useful as Wardog da Silva in the World Series. That's good. Oh, I like those. Lauren continues to impress me. I can forgive her moments of weakness out there. I think that could happen to the best of us. What a stellar athlete, and the sheer cojones it takes to keep that hidden idol in your pocket time and again. My hat is off to her. Keith is such a dirt squirrel. That's one of his names. Oh, he just needs to give up already and go home to mama. Even Ream's horrendous and misdirected vitriol is more entertaining in a deliciously wicked way than anything Keith is giving me. I would like to point something out that I noticed during the episode. My nerdish leanings, alright, they are more than mere leanings, had me shaking my head at Jeff Probst calling the item of 2 or more balls attached to a string a bolo. No, they are bolas. Not with an A, not bolo with an O, comes from the Spanish word for ball, bola. They are used to ensnare a person's limbs and immobilize someone or trip them up. Cry me a river, Joe. Cut your hair and get comfortable on Edge of Extinction. This whole season's designed for you to win. So the Joe lovers out there, take heart. He'll be right in there at the end, mark my words. Incidentally, I don't dislike Joe, but his paradigm is not one I typically champion. I'm really enjoying this cast. I think this is going to be an exciting merge. I think we've got a lot of interesting players left in the game, and that will yield exciting results. I feel it was brilliant for them to cut Big Wendy right before the merge, where she was shaping up to be such a beautiful goat to bring to the end. I think she'd even look all right with a bell around her neck. I have no real idea who is going home next, and as Cameron pointed out last week, maybe I ought to keep my findings to myself in the interest of getting ahead in JSFL rather than share them with all you fine people. Good luck to everyone. Love listening to the podcast. Thanks, Mike. Good luck to you too, buddy.
Oh, yeah, I was going to tell Paul. Justin said Victoria was looking like the winner this season, so you hear that, Paul? You better stick with her.
Oh, goodness. All right, let's check in with Shea.
Good morning, everybody. This is Shay. Wow, what an episode. I loved that Joe is starting to play a mental game. What he did with Julia was genius. Made her feel like they were together, but he also made her realize that she's a threat. I really thought that was smart of him, and I was glad to see him make that move. I was really glad to see Gavin step up in a challenge and really do something because I haven't seen much of him. I really liked watching Eric. I really liked watching him and Gavin come together and play as a team. Oh, and Victoria. I think a couple of phone calls ago I asked, when is she going to pop up in this show? A little girl who asked for a Survivor buff for Christmas at 7 has got to know how to play the game. And man, can she. I mean, she looked Aubry straight in the face and just lied like it was nobody's business. Just lied. My husband and I were like, wow, she's almost too good at that. And Wendy is not. When they were at Tribal and Wendy was saying, oh, there's no negatives about Aubry that I can think of, she could barely look at Aubry when she said that. And right then I was thinking, okay, Aubrey's got to pick up on that. But it doesn't matter because she left her stupid idol on the beach buried anyway. I don't know what she was thinking. Kelly Wentworth has got to be the whiniest person I think I've ever seen on Survivor. All she did was complain. And she wasn't doing anything more than David to try to win. I mean, she's the last one over walls. She couldn't release the balls from under the water either. She flopped on the deck like a dead fish after trying. When they were throwing the balls, oh, God, the balls, Wardog, he was terrible at it. And when he got frustrated with himself and wanted to give somebody else a chance, Kelly completely backed up and was like, no, not me, somebody else. So, I mean, at least other people were trying. She really got on my nerves. The only person who got on my nerves worse than her was Keith. Oh, when he did what he did, I can't remember when I was last that angry. I was mad. My husband was like, you realize he's not doing it to you, right? Calm down. I mean, I was pacing it. I really hope to not see him come back in the game. Speaking of which, I agree with you and Joanne Stacy that I think it should be Rick. I think he would bring an interesting mental game and social game. Oh, I don't know. There's so many things about Joe that I loved. I absolutely cannot wait to hear what everybody else has to say. But so that's my highlights. Joe's playing a social mental game finally. Gavin stepping up and showing what he can do. Victoria's a vicious little player. I don't know if it's going to get her really far or people are going to realize it and get her out of there. And Kelly Wentworth is a wine bag. Complete and total wine bag. Excellent show, excellent podcast, and I really can't wait to hear what everybody else has got to say. All right, you guys have a good one.
Thanks, Shay. Good job. There's extra videos with Gavin if you want some more Gavin, and one of them he talks about he has the Joe fever just the way Chris did.
Just like Chris.
He's obsessed with beating Joe.
I beat Joe.
Yeah.
I wanted to beat Joe. Now I want to beat him.
Yeah, and he talks about, he goes all the way back to the beginning, what it was like to see him come on the boat.
As a kid, yeah.
Well, yeah, to watch him play and how he idolized him, and then watching him come on the boat at the beginning of this season. And then
he really perked up when he saw Joe coming.
Going head to head with him. He wants kids to be excited about him playing and to have a burning hunger to beat Gavin the way he wants to beat Joe.
Gavin wants to be the new Joe.
But and I'm not seeing that yet, but what was, and he downplayed, coming up a little short against him. What was interesting, I found about what he said too, was the weight of those sandbags. He said it was like throwing about 4 baseballs at once. Mm-hmm. So they actually did have some heft to them, which I think is a great, now go back and watch Lauren throw versus Dan. You get a better sense of her physicality versus his and her capability.
Well, she just seems to have more of a burning fire inside of her in competitions. In
competition, yeah. When she's back at the beach with nothing to occupy her in terms of physical challenge, then she is severely homesick. Because all her confessionals are just circling that. I missed being able to tell my mom and dad about what just happened and all these things.
I don't see anything wrong with that.
Oh, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying that can be debilitating. And along with her physical challenges and not being able to eat, it's another thing that's weighing on her. So she's got a mental burden she's wrestling with the homesickness.
Yeah, I think as long as she does what she needs to do around camp, she's already found an idol. She can relax on that front. And she seems to, still be able to work her alliances. And so, okay, you want to go down between challenges? All righty then.
How awesome is it that the women have found all the idols this season? And only the women. How about that?
Love it, love it.
Good stuff.
Oh, one thing too, wasn't on the extra clip we saw with Keith, didn't he say that he and Reem actually were not, they had given up looking for the clue, whatever they were looking for.
The advantage from the map with the holes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. They'd given up looking for that. They were going to go out and look for food. Mm-hmm. That's what he was saying. And pick up some, whatever, snails or whatever they were looking for. And then he said, well, he saw it. She called it out, but I saw it before she called it out.
I think she saw it before she called it out too, Keith. He conveniently overlooked that part.
And he did say it said right on front, the first person to touch this, it's theirs. So, but they weren't even really looking for it. They'd given up.
Mm-hmm. Yep, good stuff. All right, thanks, Shay. Next up, we got a quick call from Kim.
This is Kim from North Carolina with my feedback. I'm headed to a party, so I don't have much time. Probably the thing I remember most about the episode is I said, how the heck did Wardog throw grenades if that's the way he throws?
Yes.
So I was really happy to hear Stacy make the same observation in the recap. We're kindred spirits.
You know it.
I really enjoyed the Edge of Extinction stuff. I hope Devins comes back. It would be so epic if Devins came back and won the whole thing after going to Edge of Extinction. I don't know who's in trouble next week. I think Joe is, but I think he has some non-returning players who might be on his side. I'm super looking forward to what's going to happen, and I'm looking forward to seeing who comes back in. And I thought this episode was great. I hope everybody has a great week. Looking forward to hearing the listener feedback on Sunday.
All right. Thanks, Kim. Thanks for making time. She got a party to go to, but she's going to get her feedback in first.
That's right. Now
Good
that's
stuff.
a fan.
Uh-huh. Next up, we got an email from Jesse in Canada.
Hello. Love your show. Love your views. Love hearing your thoughts and the other listeners. Wow. Okay. Edge of Extinction, Episode 5. I loved this episode. Forget the reward challenges. Forget the immunity challenges. I want to talk about the players, more specifically the villains. I'm no longer calling her Victoria. From now on, I will call her Queen Victoria because she royally played Aubry.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
She looks like this sweet, innocent girl, but she'll stab you in the back, eat your chicken, and wash it down with your tears. Fearsome.
Nice.
Her plan to placate Aubry worked like a charm and was executed perfectly. Eric and Gavin were there, yes, but if it wasn't for Queen Victoria's regal performance, Aubry may have played her idol. Solid play, and if I ever have a daughter, I'd want her to be just like Queen Vic.
Whoa.
Always looking out for number one. Edge of Extinction, what a magical place. At first, I hated the idea of Extinction Island. I was under the mindset, if you lose, you lose. But after seeing the evolution of Reem and Keith, from sweet mom and sweet mama's boy to ruthless villains, it has changed my mind. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't think either of them stand a chance at winning. But this, they make good television. Keith, oh my gosh, Keith. Rick solves the puzzle and Keith immediately walks off with his rice. Now, if I was a scumbag, I would have ran. But Keith just sort of walked out of there. I loved hearing Chris call to him and to be replied with, "This isn't for Chris." Keith went a little crazy there, but I'm glad Chris pushed him out of the way and took the advantage. When they get the second map, this time with holes in it, tricky Rick Devins figures it out, but was off just a little bit. Reem was smart to pay attention to Rick and to inspect just a little outside of his search spectrum. She clearly sees the advantage and makes the rookie mistake of calling it out. So, of course, Keith picks it up and finds it's a penalty to whoever Keith wants. Poor Chris is going to get it. Chris makes the mistake of saying a fairly common expression, "You gave it to him," and Reem loses her mind, screaming and cursing that she didn't give it away. The whole time Reem is freaking out on Chris, Keith is grasping his advantage, thinking, "Yeah, Mama, you tell that mean bully Chris." Well, they've done it. They made me fall in love with Extinction Island. I fished lobster in the Atlantic Ocean for years, and I've never seen as much salt as these two produce.
Nice.
Wish I could talk more, but it was a long episode, and all I can think about is Reem and Keith's terrible attitudes. Please don't quit, Reem and Keith. Extinction Island needs you. You had a good run, Big Windy, but now it's time for some real monsters to take the show. I want Chris to win the season for the sole reason he had to put up with them. Can't wait to hear from the other listeners. All right, thanks, Jesse.
Yeah, good job, Jesse. There's a extra clip with Chris, and he's lamenting the fact that he's been on Edge of Extinction longer than he got to play the game at this point. So he's bummed out, but eager for an opportunity still.
Been here longer than I was in the game.
That's not something you want to dwell on.
No.
for long at all.
No, and I don't even know if he would stay I guess he probably would, but that would be tough if they gave him the opportunity to stay longer with a possible chance of coming back.
Another exciting reason to look forward to next Wednesday. Thanks again, Jesse. Next up, we got a call from Kyle.
Hello, Joanne and Stacey and other Survivor fans at home. This is Calgary Kyle, Canada calling. Oh, no, I screwed that up. That's okay. I'm going to keep that. Okay, so this week on Survivor, 2-hour episode. I would not be against having a 2-hour episode every week. Maybe CBS might not agree, but I think it would be fun and at least an hour and a half. Come on, there's footage out there. We can do that. I'm going to leave it up to the rest of the super fans to decide or to comment on, the big points like how terrible, surprisingly terrible, Wardog is at challenges, how sneaky Keith was, and how angry Reem is, because that's all consistent. But what I wanted to talk about was my idea or my elevator pitch for Edge of Extinction and how we could have made it better. So my thought is to make it a secret for the viewers as well. So just like the existing castaways, don't tell us that when these people get voted out that they go to a separate island and they can get back in the game. You could keep it a secret up until the merge, and then you drop that bomb and then you say these people have been staying on this island and here's the footage, and then you take all that footage that you've been showing during the regular episodes and you pack that into 1 hour-long episode to say how did we get here, and then you conclude it with one of them getting back into the game and then into the merge. Just think how cool that would have been if you were able to see that, to be part of that excitement when these players return to try to get back into the game. And then after that, because we've got one giant tribe full of merged players, you can devote a little bit of time to that Edge of Extinction Island and to see what they're doing, because we're a little bit more invested in that at that point. But I think that would have alleviated some of the questions that we still have over that tribe that has not been featured, like Joe's tribe. I can't even remember who's in it, and it would alleviate a lot of those questions on who are these people that we're going to start having to root for in one way or the other. I don't know. Jeff Probst, I know you're listening, because this is the best Survivor podcast around, and I would like for you to give some consideration to this fabulous idea. So anyway, yes, Joanne, I drive. I've got a little bit of a commute, so I take some time and record my feedback here. Sorry for the road noise, and I'm going to do my best to not get in an accident. We'll just call it good. So, all right, well, thanks for all you do as always. Love to hear the feedback from all the other super fans, and I want everyone to have a fantastic weekend. All right, thanks. Goodbye.
Right.
I like Kyle's idea. I think I would have preferred that over what we got.
Yeah, I don't know if you can do it again. You know what I'm saying? It's like cat's already out of the bag. People will have expectations. They could.
That's his whole. That's the crux of his whole proposal, though. You won't know.
I know.
I think that's a much better way to pull it off. And you could do what he's saying again.
Well, you could, but what I'm saying is it will always have a bigger impact the first time out that you've seen something.
Okay.
Because then you have no expectation that could happen.
Got it.
That's all I meant.
And then all you have to do is use intermittent reinforcement. So you have one season where it doesn't happen, and then you bring it back, and then when you don't know when it's going to come in, it'll actually it becomes an element in a season where it doesn't even exist.
Yep.
Where your thought is, hey, did those people that we voted out, are they potentially coming back? We don't know.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think that's going to be there at least for a little while in seasons.
Just another added stressor.
Not in 39 and 40, because they won't have any awareness of this, because 39's filming and 40's going to queue up a couple weeks after this one ends, I think. So they won't know about the potential of this kind of a twist. But 41, 42, it'll be on their minds. Good deal. Thanks, Kyle. I like that proposal. Next up, we got a call from Jack.
Hi, all Survivor friend. This is Jack from California calling. I thought I'd start calling in instead of taking emails since I'm participating in the side challenge. Speaking of the side challenge, I forgot to put my picks in last episode, so yikes.
Uh-oh.
I hope I can call my way back up to the top, depending where I'm at right now. As for the double episode itself, the challenges were great. I find it hard to watch the tribe Lasso keeps struggling to win the challenges. I feel like I could really do well in the first reward challenge by tossing the bolos. It reminded me of a game called Blongo, which is basically what they would have been doing. The Buoy Pyramid looks like a really fun challenge, but also very challenging to put the pyramid puzzles together. And I am actually glad to see Lasso finally win in the immunity challenge instead of keep on losing. Very amazing when it came back for the second reward challenge, and in my opinion, he won that challenge for the tribe hands down by himself when tossing the sandbags onto the target. Let's talk about the dysfunctional family, which is the people on the edge of extinction. The twists that showed up in this episode were quite interesting. Bravo on Keith to not search with the group. It's an individual game eventually, and I'm glad he decided to search by himself. I probably would have done the same thing. It's what we got to see on the edge of extinction with the rope box and stick preview. What do you think the challenge is that they're going to need to complete? My original thought was it would be one of the ones where you use the sticks to get a key to unlock a door like we have seen in the past. But with the rope box that came into play, I don't quite know what the challenge is going to be. It'll be interesting to see how that all plays out, though. And out of the people who can return for next episode, I would not like to see Chris, Rick, or Aubry come back. I don't really care to see Reed, Keith, or Wendy return. But if they do, good on them, and we'll just see what happens. Looking forward to the next episode. Talk to you guys later. Bye.
All right. Thanks, Jack. I like your idea of warming your voice up for the side challenge. You know, kudos. Good on you for deciding to do that. Didn't get his picks in.
Yes, because Stacy just had to do it. So.
Next up, we got an email from Mary in Michigan. Hi, Joanna and Stacy. This is my first time giving feedback. Well, it's great to have you here, Mary. I love this week's episode, although I desperately wanted a Wardog blindside. Oh, well, hopefully I don't have to wait long for that. I was super disappointed in Aubry. I don't think her idol or double vote advantage will carry over if she comes back. It's definitely documented that the idol expires when you're voted out, and I'd have to imagine the vote advantage is the same. Yep, confirmed. I'm a huge Joe fan, and am really hoping this is finally his season, but not convinced it will happen. My next favorites are David, Rick, and Aurora. I don't dislike Gavin, Eric, or Chris, but they're just not popping for me as a fave. I'm really crossing my fingers for Rick to win and join back up with David and Kelly and Lauren, as well as Joe and Aurora. I'll be thrilled if Julia joined them, but not sure it's in the cards. I'd say from the extra videos, it's definitely not in the cards. I guess they could use the Wardog, but I'm sick of him on my screen. So as for the Edge, are we certain the people who don't win their way back will have the option of returning? No, we're not certain of that. I'm wondering if, like Pearl Islands, their games may end at that point, and the post-merge vote-outs would start a whole new group on the Edge. What's your take? What do you think?
It could go either way.
I hadn't
really thought about. I know, but I hadn't really thought about it till now, and that would make it even more interesting for somebody like Joe, who hasn't been voted out yet, and some of the frequently the strong players physically stronger players are voted out after the merge. So that would give a different dynamic, I think, to it. But I don't know. I'm hoping that they give them the option still.
Because it amounts to such a significant cost savings factor, I'm going to go with the idea that they're going to give them the option. I don't know that the merge tribe will see it, that they're given the option to go back, but they'll give them an option to go back just because of what that represents.
Okay.
Okay, continuing. If not, I'm thinking that Keith and Reem would bail either way. Now that I can get behind. I think they might bail also. Although Keith seems to be showing a great deal of resolve. He's trying. He's at war with himself, and he's figuring things out about himself and all that. You can see in the extra videos. But it would not surprise me if Reem and Keith tap, even if they're given the option.
Yeah.
Now, Chris and Rick and Aubry and Wendy, I think they won't hesitate. They'll go right back out there. And they would just be thrilled to be back out there without Reem and Keith from all their comments in the extra videos.
Though Rick seems to be having a much harder time than those other 4 that you just mentioned. The other 3.
Uncertainty does seem to be weighing on him, but you can hear it in their extra videos. It's getting Chris and Rick and Aubry. It's all hitting them in different ways, but it's definitely preying on their mind.
But Rick's just bored. It's like there's nothing happening.
Yeah, Chris says the same thing in his extras. Yeah. Okay, and we hadn't really seen Wendy. She just gets there and turns around, so it hadn't had any opportunity to impact her.
Yeah, just there overnight.
She'd just flip it and head right back out again, given the opportunity. Finally, I want to say my fourth fan after watching Second Chances, but she has not been the challenge beast or smart player I remembered so far. I can't believe she's letting Wardog control her and that she didn't try to team up with David right away. And don't even get me started on the Chris vote out. Just step back in time and imagine these last several challenges if they had Chris to throw things, toss things, and dive instead of Wardog. Ooh, eye roll. She's got stage directions in her feedback. I like that. Overall, I'm enjoying the season, and I have to believe, much as David and Goliath was destined to end with a David winning, this season is destined to be the returnee's story. In my mind, the Edge of Extinction doesn't just represent the name of the island, it's a metaphor for these returnees being at the edge of being extinct in the game of Survivor. Well, they're definitely giving them that. They give that to the editors. Every confessional, every extra video is just full of that. And then what they show us, as Dalton Ross pointed out in his recap so eloquently this week, is that the newbies spend most of their time talking about the returnees. So, yeah. May the best man or woman win, which, of course, is Joey Amazing. Thanks for all you guys do. I look forward to hearing the show every week. Maybe I'll get brave enough to call in soon. Well, we hope so, but you did a great job with your written feedback. Good deal. Thanks, Mary. Next up, we got a call from Sandy.
Hi, guys. This is Sandy from Atlanta. So, all right, second call, I know. But I'm still thinking about how much money CBS is saving by not having to feed those people all those hamburgers. Can you imagine the amount of food those people eat? And then, I don't know if they still get to go on some sort of lavish vacation or whatnot. They probably just get to stay at Ponderosa. Oh, my gosh, the money they're saving. The only thing I really got from this week is Wendy was basically not playing a social game at all. She was only playing a physical game. And here you've got, what's his name? Oh, Groundhog. I don't know what you call dog face. No, sorry, that's not right. Oh my gosh, I can't think of his name. He's only playing a strategic game, or a strategic game, yeah. And he's not playing a physical game because he doesn't get that you have to eat to get energy. And obviously, you know, a guy that big, you'd think he'd know that he was going to have to run and jump and throw things. I'm just guessing. It comes back down to if you can build fire or not, doesn't it? Okay, guys, talk to you later. Bye.
Thanks, Sandy. There's a great extra video with Joe talking about one of the reasons he's been the fire tender. There's also a great extra video with Aurora talking about how she's becoming annoyed with everyone. And one of the things that's annoying her is Joe waking up to tend the fire half the night. But Joe's doing it strategically, too. He's making sure that the other folks don't get to practice fire so that come time Final Four, he's got that on his mind. He'll be the supreme fire maker if he's the one who gets sent there for that face-off.
Well, and Aurora said Ron snores, and she said in the beginning
It was
didn't bother
endearing.
him so much. Oh, well, that's nice. And Joe's teeny, but after like day 12, they're like, everything annoys you.
or certainly annoys Aurora.
Well, I doubt she's on her own, but
Right.
it really starts to wear after a while.
The repeat cycle.
And we've
that
heard
they're
this
on.
before. We've heard all their stories.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear any more of any of these people's stories.
Thanks, Sandy. Next up, we got a call from Sophie.
Hi, Joe and Stacey. Hi, Survivor fans. This is Sophie. I'm in a rush. I'm about to lose Wi-Fi. We're heading to the mountains. I haven't heard your recap because we had builders painting the living room and they unplugged the DVR. So I was having like a little panic attack Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, trying to figure out how I could see it. I do have CBS, but it only works on my phone. For some reason, I can't get CBS on my TV working. It's just too slow. And so we figured out that we could pay for the episode on Amazon Prime, and it was the best $2.99 that I've spent because there was no adverts in between. It was just all the way through. It was like watching a 1.5 hour movie, but it was just absolutely fantastic. I really did enjoy this double episode. I liked David's little butt wiggle as he was going to propel himself off the board in the challenge to jump into the water. That was really funny. That had us laughing. Also, we were all screaming at Wardog. What on earth happened to him? How embarrassing. Yeah, he needs to go. I finally understand what you think about Wendy. Yes, seeing that she didn't really want to play the game or even act like she was playing the game in front of Aubry, that was really frustrating. So she went and she was a good vote out. I thought that they were going to do her instead of risking their lives in the rock pulling at the end. Thank goodness. Aubry, what on earth were you thinking? If somebody sent you a letter, a double vote, then that obviously means that they can see that you're in trouble. How could you not? Why didn't she just play her idol and then get rid of Eric or someone, and then she still would have had an extra vote until the 7th place? Oh my goodness. So poor thing, but I guess she deserves it. The frustration that you all felt with Wendy and the chickens is exactly how I'm feeling with Keith. He just makes my blood boil. Oh my goodness, he was just so infuriating when he found those knots and when he ran off looking for the map thing. But in all honesty, Rick shouldn't have shared with them how you fold that map. It was a fantastic episode. I think next week they're going to come back, and then I guess all of the castaways are going to think that that's their last chance. They're getting back and they're saying goodbye for good, but then they'll end up coming back again without the tribe really knowing that that's going to happen. So I think it would be a double shock when in the future they have another chance to come back in. That would be interesting to see everyone's faces. Victoria is just so annoying. I guess she's playing good. She's keeping the cards to her chest, but something about that redhead just makes me a little bit annoyed. Gavin did great. He's my USB, so it was good to see him actually do well. So take care, everybody. Have a great weekend. Gotta go. Bye.
Yeah, you'll like those extra videos when you get back from your cabin there of Gavin. There's, what, 2, 3 of them?
I was wondering if maybe after the challenge, between the people from Extinction and whoever goes back and they send them away,
right?
And the people that didn't make it, I wonder if Jeff would then say, okay, you have another choice. If you want to go back to Extinction Island for another chance at some point to get back into the game, step over here. If you don't want to, step over here.
What's better to me is if it's done individually, because I think peer pressure could keep Reem in. Because she's so, in spite of what she says about how she's Miss Independent and all this stuff, she's very sensitive. And she says she's not, but she's hypersensitive, and she's certainly very invested in what other people think of her. And so that would have a different impact on her if she got to make the decision on her own. I think if she got to make it separately, if they sent them down one at a time to make that decision, then I think she might choose a different path than if they had to do it as a group. So I'm hoping they make solo decisions, and that it's independent of the other folks. Yeah.
Alrighty then.
Good deal. Thanks, Sophie. Next up, we got an email from Barbara in Long Island, New York.
I finally figured out the reason for the title of the season, Edge of Extinction. It's the Lesu tribe. David even said it in a confessional. This tribe is so on the edge of extinction that scientists stop looking for us. They already think we're dead. We're like the last 4 dodo birds living on a remote island.
How apropos.
Yeah.
Dodo birds.
So perhaps one of them, maybe David, will win in the end. Okay, that's it for me. For some reason, I've got to go eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I don't know why.
Oh, I like that. Good job, Barbara. Next up, we got a call from Drew's crew.
Hello, everyone. Hey, Joanne and Stacy. This is Drew and Charlie and Kitty and
Adelaide and her friend Starfish.
Adelaide and her friend Starfish, and we have Milo here too. And we just watched the immunity challenges for this week's episode, and it was really fun. Did you like the challenges, guys? Which one did you like better? The water one. Did you like the water one, babe? I did too. And actually, as we were watching it, I remembered that what I feel like I figured out Lesu's problem in that challenge and why they keep losing. If you notice at the beginning, I think Aurora was first on the one tribe, and she dove like a champion into that water. And then on the other team, I don't remember who it was, but they dove like a champion too. And then you watch Kelly Wentworth, and she just like holds her nose and just does a cannonball into there. I think that is a good illustration of why they're losing. They're just holding their nose and just trying to jump in instead of going for it and diving, you know what I mean? And then even at the end of the challenge, when they did pull off the win, they all just jumped into the water again while everyone else was diving like Olympic athletes or something. It was just a funny thing I noticed. It was a good double episode. I was actually pretty bummed about Aubry. I think she should have known better. I think she should have been savvier to what was going on. So I was actually really disappointed she had so much going for her, and I feel like they showed so much about her going up to it that maybe she'll have a chance to redeem herself a little bit with those advantages on the idol she found. So, Charlie, do you think you could go down and pull those puzzle pieces out of the water? No? Why not? Oh, yes. He said no. You know how to swim. Yep, that's pretty deep in the ocean, but I bet you'd do really well. Would you want to do that one too, sweetie? No?
I'm not so much. I would have wanted to put it in.
Oh, not in the deepest water.
So deep.
That is true.
And I never went.
There's a Warm Springs crater not too far from where we live, and we went to look at it, and it is really deep, 70 feet. I don't have too much else to say. Thanks for the great double recap. I'm looking forward to the feedback, of course. It will be great to see how this Edge of Extinction thing plays out going forward now that they're about to reconnect, and I think it's going to be a fun surprise to see, so hopefully it doesn't fizzle and die. Of the ones left on there, as much as I'd like to see Chris have a chance to play a little bit more, or at least compete a little bit more, and Rick is kind of a fun guy, I kind of want Aubry to come back. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully my audio quality is okay. I don't know what is going on with this computer, but hey, careful. Sounds kind of muffled sometimes, so see what we can do. So winner of the week, I think Aurora. She's kind of an MVP. Loser of the week, Aubry. She just should have known better. Everyone have a great weekend, and talk to you next time. Say bye.
Bye.
Kitty, too. You want to say bye, sweetie?
Bye.
Friends are saying bye, too. Do you want to say bye, Milo? Say bye. Okay, bye.
Oh, good stuff. Thanks, Drew. Thanks, everybody. Next up, we got a call from BrandonA.
What's up, Survivor fans and Joanna Stacy? It's Brandon from Cleveland. I really enjoyed this double episode. I was very happy with the 2 vote outs. So just a quick thing from last week, Joanne, I remember you was asking me, but I thought you loved Kelly Wentworth. I am a big fan of Kelly Wentworth, but I'm always rooting for the new players over returning players in, a season where they mixed the two. I think it's totally a disadvantage for the new players, so I'm loving the fact that so many of these new players want to get these returners out. If Kelly Wentworth was to go, I would not care. I was very happy Aubry left, and I'm a big fan of Aubry. I probably like her the most out of these 4. But I was very happy to see her leave. I was very happy to see Big Wendy leave, even though I loved her as a character. I'm rooting for Chris or Devins to come back from Extinction Island, because obviously I don't want to see Aubry. And as much as I love Reem and how entertaining she is, or Wendy for that matter, no, I want to see a gamer come back into the game, and somebody I think that actually has a chance. And so obviously that takes Keith out of the running. So definitely I want to see him back. So, and I just, man, this is a bad episode for Wardog. Yet at the same time, I thought this was a great episode for Wardog. It's like he's pretty much controlled every vote. There's hostility towards him. People are getting annoyed with him, but he's really been a very integral part of every single vote. It always comes down to Wardog, whether he's calling the shot or he's like the split vote. He always has a big say in what's going to go down at tribal council. And it was no different this week. I was glad to see finally somebody else besides the Letsu tribe go to tribal council. My USB Eric looks like he's still doing pretty good. I wouldn't mind seeing him win. I wouldn't mind seeing Gavin win either, though. And we'll see what happens with everything going on with Joe and Ron and Julia. I'm kind of interested to see how that dynamic will work out, too. And I think I figured out my crush for the season. It took me a while to figure out. But, yeah, it's definitely Julia. But I'm looking forward to what everybody else has to say. Nobody annoyed the crap out of me this week like last week. So I feel like this feedback has been a little bit more positive. But, anyway, I will talk to you guys next week, hopefully. Peace.
Let the positivity flow. All right. Thanks, Brandon. Next up, we got an email from Eric in Canada. Wow, what an episode. Starting off with a blindside and then Chicken Ladies finally out of here. I was enjoying watching Aubry play, but it was a well-played blindside, and I respect that. I knew that no one would have gone to rocks for Wendy. It seems that Victoria just started playing this week, but she's playing well. Next week, my picks to go are Wardog, Joe, and maybe Julie. I'm excited for the challenge. I'm happy that Chris will be at a disadvantage, giving people like Devins or Aubry a better chance to come back. All in all, a great double episode. All right, excellent. Thanks, Eric. Next up, we got a call from Parker.
Hey, it's Parker from Indiana, and that was an epic double episode of Survivor. Lesu finally won a challenge. Wow. And they voted Aubry off. I was so excited when Leslie won. I jumped up, I ran around my house, I yelled, I hit the wall with my hand. My hand hurts now, but I was so excited it freaked my dog out. But then they voted Aubry off. What? Okay, I know she's a returnee. I know she played before. I know she's a threat, but I want to play with threats. I want to play with the best players on my season. That's my mentality. Especially in pre-merge time, I want to stick with the best players that are there. I don't want Wendy's wild cards who don't adapt to their tribes, who just go off and do their own thing. I don't want that. I want to play with the best. And we got more Edge of Extinction stuff. That was awesome. It was funny. Reem is a crazy person, and Aubry's reaction to the Edge of Extinction crowd was just hilarious. I'm sad about the Edge of Extinction because I think only one person going to make it back. I feel like it's going to be Chris. Even if Keith has that thing to stop him, I still feel like it's going to be Chris. But I really want Rick back in the game because I love Rick. Honestly, I want Rick to get a second chance more than anything, because even if Aubry goes early this season, I still have all of Co-Wrong to go. Aubry is amazing, right? Also, those red buffs in the merge preview, it looked freaking awesome. I loved it. I want to talk about Joe for a second. Joe's moment in this episode, I'm really liking Joe this season. He seems that he's grown a lot in the years that he hasn't played. He's doing good, and I'm excited to see him play through the rest of this season. When Jeff said that they would go to the tribal council together, I hated that. I hated it so much. I hated it because last time that happened, Malcolm was voted off. You know, it worked out. Wendy's gone. And I was like, all right, maybe this can work. She's good in challenges, though. I really hope she doesn't make it back. I might cry if Rick and Aubry don't make it back in the game because of Wendy. Merge, always a good time. It's tons of craziness. I think the returnees are going to work together, and finally David is realizing that working with Wentworth is a good idea. I'm excited. Yeah, that's all I got. I will see you guys next time.
All right, I'm with you, Parker. Those red buffs, the merge buffs, those are popping. They looked really sharp. I like that choice. Next up, we got a call from Cameron.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. Hey, Survivor fans. This is Cameron from North Carolina. So in JSFL, I had Julie, Aubry, Ron, and Eric safe. I said David and Wendy would be voted out. So I lost a safe point on Aubry, but I still got 5 out of 8 points because I got the vote off point for Wendy. Not too bad. I'm starting to care a little bit less about the Edge of Extinction. I'm finding it more to just be filler time. So I really did love that bolo golf challenge. I know they do it a lot, but every time I see it, I just get jealous, man. I don't know what it is. I just love bolo golf. So Wentworth was sort of verbally emasculating David after that reward challenge, saying he's just one of the girls. That proves to me that he's not beloved in her eyes, and she would be willing to take him out at any time. Finally, Julia isn't so purple in this episode. She was part of that anti-Joe brigade at the first half of the episode, it seemed like. So I'm hearing a lot more game talk from Eric finally. That's good, because he's my USB, and I was afraid he was starting to get way too purple. On the Edge of Extinction, I won't hate on Keith for going out without the others. It sucks he was only a second behind Chris getting to the reward. So the first immunity challenge, at first I said that was a worse blowout than that one water carrying challenge from Jabeni and David versus Goliath. But a few minutes later, I'm eating my words. Lesu won something. Wow. I felt kind of annoyed by Aurora trying to be secret, but obviously helping Manu win. I'm starting to see Aubry in a different light, but I still don't like her that much. She used to play humbly, but now her ego was just so big. She used to want to work with people. Now she wants to choose who gets to work with her, evidently by her conversation at the shelter with Victoria and Wendy, as well as her black cats analogy at Tribal. I was wondering why Rick chose Aubry for the extra vote, but when you think about it, A, it wasn't going to be Wendy, and B, the only other person he knew was Aubry, so there's some returnee bias right there, I feel like. I was really shocked when Aubry went, I gotta say. She called it JT-style embarrassment. I won't say it was that bad, or as bad as Eric and Micronesia, but that was surely a big misplay on her part. Lauren really needs to step up and stop seeing Wardog as the dominant one just for being the man. I mean, clearly, I think Lauren is the strongest one on that tribe. I feel bad for Joe right now. Basically like Michaela to Brad in Game Changers when she was telling him, go fish or you're gone. He's basically there just for his worth. I'm starting to root for Joe, honestly. At the beginning, I wanted him taken out ASAP, but at this point, I really wouldn't mind seeing him go all the way. Seeing Rick on the Edge of Extinction still upsets me for some reason. I really wish he was still in the game. That Reem versus Chris argument almost felt like something trashy we'd see from Big Brother. No hate on that show, though. I am a fan. Dang it, I really feel like David about had it in that second immunity challenge. What happened to Wentworth? She seemed like an absolute beast in Cambodia with the individual rewards or the individual immunities, and now she's just decent at best. So I'm glad the vote worked out the way. I almost feel like Eric, Gavin, and Victoria planned beforehand to try to get someone to flip on Lauren, but if that didn't work out, they would be willing to take out Wendy, so they did not have to draw rocks. Next time on Survivor, the merge. Hard to predict right now what's going to happen, but if there's a competitive challenge for the Edge of Extinction, I think there's a chance Wendy could come back because she has not been too bad in those challenges so far. A lot to say this episode. Hope it all made sense. I enjoy hearing everyone's feedback. Thank you, Joanne and Stacy. I will see you all next week.
All right. Thank you, Cameron. I think what we're seeing here with Aubry is, and it was provided in the result of Co-Wrong, where 1L Michelle just had a more dominant, better social game, and that's what we came to learn later, and the editors have been historically challenged in conveying something like that, I think. So you combine 1L Michelle's really good social game with what we're coming to learn is Aubry's lack of a social game. We thought she may have had one and that the awkwardness made her endearing, but she just seems to come up supremely short on the social side of the game, and that's what this season has been bringing home to me. That's my takeaway. Thanks, Cameron. Next up, we got an email from Shannon from we don't know where. Okay.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. Not only am I new to watching Survivor Live, but to your podcast.
Well, welcome.
Well, I watched season 1 live as a kid with my family, but forgot about it and watched all the seasons on Hulu over the last couple of years.
Wow.
So I'm all caught up. This is only my second season watching live. Congrats on 14 years of podcasting about Survivor. Thank you. I know you guys don't care for Reem, but I think she is hilarious. My favorite quote from her this week, "You light a volcano." She reminds me a bit of Shambo, just a lot more volatile.
Yeah, I think other people have made that comparison. Yeah.
The only cast member I don't really care for is Wendy. Reminds me a bit of Sugar, but with a motive. Sugar came off as more naive and had some respect for certain players like Bob and Maddie, but Wendy lacks that. I believe she came on the show just for the SIA money. She proved that to me when she was voted out and screamed cheeseburger.
Which I think would take her out of the running for SIA money.
Yes. I'm a lifelong animal lover and vegetarian. My hubs and I have been vegans over a decade. If I was on Survivor, I would set the chickens free, but like Russell, in the middle of the night and not draw attention to myself, not mention my morals and values about animals, because I would be trying my hardest to be crowned Soul Survivor winner.
There you go.
And not for SIA money. I really hope more than one person enters the game on Wednesday, a man and a woman. Overall, I'm cheering for Joe, Victoria, and Julia. As for the Wardog, not a fan of people who give themselves a nickname. Earn it. And as we have seen thus far, he has not.
Ooh, I like that. That's got a bite. That's got teeth.
And that's why she likes me. It's got a bite. I really enjoy listening to others' opinions. Such a fun pod. Hope you both have a wonderful rest of your weekend and a great week. All right. And you as well, Shannon.
Yeah, great to have you here. I'm thrilled you found us. Yeah, definitely Reem's more Wardog than Wardog. That's a good point. I like that. Next up, we got a call from David.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. It's David in Pittsburgh. Well, I told you last week that I was a terrible gambler, and I wasn't lying, but now I'm crying. I thought Aubry was going to make it far in the game. I should never have said that. I think that I jinxed her. She had the hidden immunity idol. Then she got an advantage. So at that point, I knew she was at least going to get through the next two tribal councils. And then I thought she could work her way after the merge into the final four. So what happened? Well, she said it herself. She's best playing from the bottom, and she has to work to get to the final tribal council. But I think that she had so much power going into this tribal council that she let down her guard. And again, I don't know why she would, because her tribe really hadn't been communicating with her in the past. And so now suddenly they're doing an about face and everybody is agreeing with her that they're going to vote out Wendy. So I don't know. If she does get back in the game, and I'm wondering if her idol and her advantage will still be in play. As for Wendy, well, every week I said she was going, so I knew that eventually I would be right. It's sort of like playing red instead of black every time at the casino. Sooner or later, red has got to come up. But I can't quite figure out why she wasn't able to just agree to go along with other people. We saw that she was a good liar. You know, she said she didn't know what happened to the Flint, but somehow she wasn't able to commit to a plan. And I just think that everyone saw her as a little bit too unpredictable. Well, David is on the other tribe is worthless as far as I can see, and now we're seeing Wardog is just as bad. And then there's Kelly and Lauren. They must have nerves of steel, because this was the second time that Lauren went to tribal council with an idol and sat there and didn't use it, and her name was thrown out there. So she better wake up, and once your name starts getting circulated, you better start listening closely to what people are saying. Over on Joe's tribe, I guess nobody has an idol because nobody's been looking for an idol, or else they're just not showing it to us. But I'm assuming that if they do show a search for it, then one of them will eventually get it. As for the double episode, more please. I thought both were excellent. They had me on the edge of my seat. And now that the exiled players are coming back, are we going to have 19 competing for individual immunity? We shall see. Anxious to hear what the other listeners have to say. Glad that you're still doing this podcast where we can send in our comments. Bye.
And glad you're still sending in your comments. Thanks, David. Yeah, Aubry has the comma idol. There was nothing for them to find, even though Joe was talking about keeping his eye out for it there in one of his extra videos this week. Yeah.
So Aubry didn't tell Joe she found it.
Nope, she didn't tell anyone.
That's what that tells us.
Yeah, exactly. Good deal. Thanks, David. Next up, got a call from Slappy McGee.
Hello, Joanne and Stacy. This is Slappy McGee calling you from Salem, New Hampshire this week. I was a little disappointed only in the fact that I didn't get any of my vote outs correct, either one of my vote outs correct. I don't know who I voted for, but I do know that I did not vote off the correct one. So there you go. I'm a master at nothing there. I did get my save points, so there. Here I am calling about, the Survivor League. I'm going to talk to you about Survivor, but it goes back to myself. What is that about? You guys have gotten me into this thing now, and I can't stop obsessing over it. And Stacy keeps pulling further and further away from me, and I'm worried now as they drop down the rankings. I'm becoming a little more worried. I'm starting to think now, what do I do about Rick? Because Rick is my USB, and is he going to come back or is he not? And do I need to change? And I don't know how that works, but there you go. I guess I'm going to stick with him and hope that he fights his way back in. The one thing I wanted to say is about Wendy, and I've had my ups and downs with Wendy. Good representation of someone with Tourette's, although they've kind of veered away from that now. It's just the first episode. Then bad representation of a human being in some of the things that she's been doing. But here's the thing. I think she's getting a bad edit. And why I feel that way is because none of her tribe mates seem to hate her. And they're annoyed by her, but they don't seem to really hate her. And they're all kind of laughing at her. And then when she got voted out, they are all smiling, and not because she was voted out, but because she made them laugh, she made them smile, and they had good feelings about her. She hugs Jeff, and so they all seem to like her a whole lot. So even though she's made it to be this villain, which she's done some villainous things, she still seems to be likable, at least to those tribe members. I think they're leaving some stuff out, the editors are, so that we're not seeing that. We're seeing the villainous stuff, and it was pretty villainous. And her saying right when she's leaving, I'm going to go get some hamburgers or cheeseburgers or whatever it is. Come on. You've just starved out your tribe mates and all of this because you don't want them to kill, and now you're going to go out and eat a hamburger. At least you were saying it. And I don't even know if that's for the camera, which is even worse because I think it probably was just for the camera because she did it last time when she's playing. She's so fake, and that's why I don't like her. But then again, now that I am thinking about it, maybe just a bad edit, but she is definitely playing for the cameras, and that was one of those examples. Regardless of whether she went on to be a vegan or not, her just saying that is such either a slap in the face to what she just did, the behavior that she just displayed, or it's playing to the camera. Either one is not really great behavior. So I'm kind of torn on Wendy. And as we move on, we'll see what happens with the merge coming. And you see all their shock and surprise when he says, hey, I got a surprise for you guys. And they're like this. And then you think it's because they're bringing in the old tribe members and stuff that have been voted out. But it's not that. It was because he said, they don't show that on the clip, but Jeff Probst goes, yep, we're having a banjo recital. And that was their reaction. Oh, what? Oh, no, what? I'm coming for you, Stacy. All right, Slappy up.
All right, Slappy. As soon as Slappy figures out the whole fantasy league reverse forward thing, as soon as he can get that straight, he might be a force to be reckoned with. That's what I'm thinking.
What I like is how much his feedback has changed since he joined
the side challenge. It has flavored it a bit, hadn't it?
Yes. Okay, and that's not uncommon when people get invested in playing the game, whether they're in the side league challenge or not.
Yeah.
You look at it differently.
Yep.
You just do. Okay, here's the thing though, Slappy. You don't have to worry about it because you don't make a choice about choosing a new USB until after we find out who comes back. So you'll know by then whether Rick is back or not. And you can have a little more information to base your decision.
I'm guessing it won't be enough to help, but there's something to hang your hat on.
Well, let him relax this week. Anyway.
Oh, okay. The thing about Wendy is that resonated in Slappy's feedback for me is there was one extra video with her, and she sounds very lucid, and she actually sounds strategic. But I think Wendy's probably at that space, and we see this with different castaways. She's at that place in her life where she hasn't figured out who she is, and I absolutely agree. She plays to the camera a lot. She's got that K-pop, anime, Japanese kind of mannerisms that she's pulling off. She strikes poses, and you can tell they're practiced and they're affected for specific responses, and that stuff, it absolutely gets tired. I think it's what got her cast, so I guess that part worked for her, but in the context of being able to play and be considered a viable player in the game, she just doesn't have it together. She hadn't figured out that part yet. And so just like if she were a child, they were amused by her, and they can be happy for her when she's happy, when she is apparently,
especially when she's on her way out,
not in the game. Yeah, exactly.
if she
Good
comes
deal.
back, that could be different. And she said all along she wasn't going to let anybody see her as a strategic player until after the merge.
It's worth watching her extra videos if you're a fan, for sure, or if you're at all interested in her story. I can't say that I am, but I guess it offers some more insight there. There's potential. She could sort of figure herself out, probably not in this time frame, and be a viable player, but she's just kind of a mess right now. All right, thanks, Slappy. Next up, we got an email from Josh, the Plush Moose from Massachusetts. Dear Joanne and Stacy, I'm not usually a fan of double episodes, but this was a really good one. Bring on the merge. Here are my other observations. When it comes to challenges and helping back at camp, Wardog is all bark and no bite. Lesu is so hopeless that if they went trick-or-treating in Snoopy's neighborhood, they'd all wear sheets with too many holes and get nothing but rocks. To put it in mathematical terms, comma minus Joe equals Lesu. That's good. That is a very nice summation there. With all the photobombs they do, the chickens get more camera time than some of the players. Wardog is a hypocrite, too tired to find food, but lots of energy for idol hunting. Yes, exactly. I'm not a fan of pushy people, Chris, Keith, reaping rewards for others' efforts. I've finally figured Wendy out. She's a Pokemon. I'm glad that Kama helping Manu cheat didn't cost Lesu immunity in the pyramid puzzle. Worst purgatory for Aubry, life on extinction or trying to strategize with Wendy? That's good. It'd be interesting to hear Aubrey's take on that.
And now she's got both.
Aubrey's extra vote and hidden idol became extinct when she did. What a waste. Joy Amazing as a southpaw with deadly accuracy and hitting whirligigs. Sounds like a pitching prospect for our local minor league baseball team, the Lowell Spinners. I think Kelly really needs a 2-week vacation at Club Joe. Rule number 1 on Les, and she may be about to get it.
Yeah.
Rule number 1 on Lesu is DTWA. Don't tell Wardog anything. If Wardog is your leader, the view never changes. I hope the David Wentworth Alliance survives the merge and Wardog doesn't. On Extinction Island, the rule is touchers keepers, losers weepers. Wardog versus the Monkey Fist reminded me of trying to teach a hyperactive but clueless puppy how to fetch. You reap what you sow. If Manu hadn't voted out Aubry first, her extra vote could have broken the tie at the combined tribal council. If evil Victoria is ever your waitress, make sure that you give her a big tip. Wardog is no bloodhound. He walked right past that hidden idol. Wendy's cheeseburger comment firmly eliminated her potential access to the sea of cash. There you go. Next time, drop your buffs. We are merged. Come on in. Which member of the extinct will get back into the game? Will the remaining original extinct finally earn the name? Which is stronger, Chris's practice slats or Keith's knots? Tune in next week. Anyway, that's it for me for now. Thanks, Joanne and Stacy, for all you do. I can't wait to hear what the other fans have to say. Thanks, Josh. Good job, buddy. Next up, we got a call from KimJ.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy, this is KimJ from Nashville. I was bummed and disappointed that Aubry got voted out with 2 advantages. I just imagine how much fun it would have been if she had played that idol in the first tribal and then been able to use that extra vote in the combined tribal, and perhaps Lauren would have gone home with an idol in her pocket, because they definitely would not have seen that coming. But instead, she goes out and, as she calls, JT style embarrassment. And, you know, obviously past success on Survivor does not equal future success. But I'm of the opinion that your future times being on Survivor does not negate your play the first time. I still think JT played a good game in Tocantins, despite the fact that he fell in his face royally the other 2 times. And I think Aubry still played a great game in Ko Rong, despite the fact that her next 2 outings have not been as good. I don't know if I should give a ton of credit to Victoria and Eric and Gavin and Wendy, for that matter. I kind of thought Wendy might spill the beans and tell Aubry. I was kind of hoping she would spill the beans and tell Aubry. But nope, that didn't happen. So I don't know if Aubry just really didn't read the room, or if they really did just pull the wool over our eyes. Well, it would be nice to have an exit interview about right now, right? So I'm kind of on the fence about how I feel about players like Wendy in general, because they're clearly not there to win, but just cause disruption, kind of the Abby Maria type. And I don't know. I'm just on the fence as to whether I like those kind of players in Survivor, if they really make good TV or not. So as far as this coming week, it could be very straightforward. It could be the Kama people coming back together and targeting the former 4 Monty members, plus whoever comes back from Extinction Island. Or it could be more complicated than that, because I was looking, okay, so we have Ron, Julie, Julia, Gavin, Eric, and Victoria. That's the original Kama 6, leaving Joe and Aurora on the outskirts. If they combined with Kelly and Lauren and David and Wardog, that's 6 on 6, making whoever comes back from Edge of Extinction a very pivotal swing vote, potentially. So I would love to see that, as opposed to Joe and Aurora sticking with the Kama 6 and targeting the Manu members, and maybe even David or somebody jumping ship. Now, of course, if they did that, you've got Kelly and Lauren, who both have idols. So even in a split vote situation, could potentially still make it past that vote. Now, the question then is, who would they target on Kama? Because they have no information about them at all. They have no inside information. So do they target Eric or Gavin or Ron? I'm very interested to see. So look forward to what everybody else has to say. Have a great weekend.
I think that's a fantastic summary of why this next episode is going to be just amazing to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, looking forward to it. Next up, we got a call from Jill.
Hi, Joanne and Stacey. Hi, Survivor fans. Jill from the Outback here. I'm sitting on the side of the road in the absolute middle of nowhere. It's hot, it's dusty, there's flies everywhere. I'm waiting for a truck. I've been sitting here for an hour already. He's obviously late. We've got no mobile phone reception. So I thought I would try to put my feedback recorded, and otherwise I don't think I was going to get time. I know I said a few times that it was unfair, the last feedback I did, that it was unfair that, players that get voted out can get back in. But I don't care anymore. That is just so funny, the stuff that's coming out of the Edge of Existence that Aubry said about the dysfunctional family, and she's right. It's just so funny. That double episode, there was a few moments where I just laughed out loud at some of the stuff when in the tribal council, and David and Wardog bumped heads when the chook walked in front of Aubry when she was doing her confessional. It was just so funny. Part of my problem with the Edge of Existence was that it takes the time away from seeing the proper tribes playing. But we got to meet a few more, got to know them a little bit better this week, especially Victoria and Gavin. And honestly, those two should be getting acting awards for dragging in Aubry like that. I had no idea that she was going. And neither did she, obviously. They did that so well. In the other one, I think it was pretty obvious that Wendy was going, but even that was pretty entertaining, having the two tribes go to tribal council. That was really cool. I liked how they did that. It's funny how Joe's trying to drag everyone else into the target on my back theory with him, everyone else in his tribe anyway, but I think he's well and truly on his own. Everyone knows that it's all him, and as David said, what must it be like to be like him? I don't really like the Joey Amazing nickname, but man, he is amazing, isn't he? I can't wait for next week to see how that's all going to work. So they merge, the players merge, and then all the Edge of Existence people come in, and so they do a challenge and one of them gets to go back into the game. So what happens to the rest of those people? Are they out? Are they back at Ponderosa, or do they get to go back to Edge of Existence for it to happen again at another time? Do we actually know what's going to happen with it? I think I'm running out of time. Still no truck. I'll sit here for a bit longer. Thanks so much, Joanne, Stacey, for everything, and all the other fans who leave their feedback. I always enjoy listening to that. Happy days, everyone. Bye.
All right. Happy days. Thanks, Jill. Nope, we don't know the specifics yet. Don't know if they'll make that clear before the episode, but more than likely we'll find out in the episode, how if they're going to go back to the Edge of Extinction or not.
Another exciting thing to look forward to.
Yeah, thanks again, Jill. Next up, we got an email from Christiana in Boston.
Hi, Joanne and Stacey. So much happened this episode, and yet at the same time, it all seemed pretty predictable. I have no interest in watching the challenges this season because you know how they are going to end. In general, when one tribe is dominating throughout a season during the pre-merge, I don't find that interesting. I like to see a closer, more evenly matched challenge. The tribes weren't evenly matched from the beginning, and as one team continues to win while another tribe or tribes lose, The disparity only widens as the less successful castaways eat less and lose their energy and strength. Kelly should be mindful of labeling David as a girl. For one, Kelly herself as a woman used to be dominant in challenges, but also Lauren is the only one on their tribe with significant athletic ability. Wardog is pretty awful in challenges, and he is so lazy around camp. It was infuriating to watch. Yes, they need to preserve their energy, but also they need to find other food sources, especially Lauren, who won't eat the rice. I did not understand Wardog's rationale about getting rid of Lauren, because despite not eating, blacking out, and only thinking about the merge feast, she is still far superior in challenges to anyone else on the tribe. Now, moving into the merge, I'm looking forward to seeing if the returnees will work together. Joe and Kelly have somewhat of a rivalry dating back to Cambodia, but I think they will all realize they need each other. Each of the returnees, except for Aubry, has a buddy they can bring into an alliance. Kelly has Lauren, Joe has Aurora, and David has Rick if he returns into the game. The 6 of them plus Aubry would make a majority, but it doesn't seem like there's a scenario where Aubry and Rick would both be back in the game at the same time. Can't wait to see how it plays out and how the current players will react when they realize that no one has actually left the game yet. Have a good week, everyone. Yeah, that should be quite the reaction.
Yeah.
Thanks, Christiana.
Next up, we got a call from Jen.
Hi, everyone. This is Jen in California. Well, we had 2 great back-to-back episodes this last week, and so here are my thoughts. I was always under the impression that Kelly Wentworth is a better athlete than she's showing herself to be this season. And I never realized that she couldn't dive or that she had to hold her nose when she was swimming. I don't know. I guess I'm just not that observant. But in her confessionals as well, she's a bit calling the kettle black with saying she doesn't have there's not a lot of talent on the Lesu tribe. I mean, she's not wrong, but that group as a whole is really having a hard time. I mean, I guess Lauren, being a college athlete and a former athlete, she's probably the best they've got. I was really shocked to see Wardog's lack of throwing ability, too. That poor tribe, I really don't know what's going to happen with them if they don't merge. Well, we don't have to think about that because they are going to merge, and lucky for them. And just thinking back on your recap, Joanne, I think I am with you on the opinion that Kelly's comparison of Wardog to Tony Vlachos was definitely not a compliment. I think comparisons between him and Wardog in terms of being a busybody and never stopping thinking and always plotting is definitely a fair comparison. They are very similar. Bald head and all, too. Poor Aubry, she got really blindsided. She really didn't see that coming. I was really hoping that she'd be a little bit more astute than she was. With that idol, better safe than sorry. She came into the game with a target on her back, and I mean, I think if put in her place, I would rather play the idol and not have had to, rather than not play the idol and go home the way she did. But she's got another chance, and let's see if she takes advantage of it. But she's got some competition there on Extinction Island. I keep wanting to call it Exile Island. I think I'm hoping either she or Devins comes back in the game. Either way, I'm just really enjoying this season. It's off to a slower pace than last season, but I'm still enjoying it nonetheless. That's it for me. Bit of a short feedback this week. Can't wait to hear everyone else's feedback. Till next week. Bye.
Excellent. Good job, Jen.
Here's a question, given that Manu lost both challenges. Mm-hmm. Had Aubry not gone home when she did, say Wendy went home, what would have happened the next tribal council? Wendy's no longer there. Wouldn't Aubry have just gone home if she had already played her idol and somebody else?
I think she would have. It's based on that she had played her idol when Wendy went home?
No, when she went home. She was the first one voted out.
I can't tell if you're posing a hypothetical or you're talking about what happened.
When Aubry, at the first tribal council, had Aubry played her idol, and somebody else had gone home.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wendy.
And then they lose again. Wouldn't Aubry have just gone home next?
Even with her advantage, she wouldn't have had enough to counter the 3 votes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I would think so. Just would have reversed their order.
Yeah. exactly. So I'm thinking Aubry was doomed to go regardless. This way,
Would seem that way, yeah.
It just seems more dramatic, but I think probably she would have gone anyway.
It didn't seem more dramatic. It was dramatic.
It was dramatic.
Getting popped with two things like that.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
But like you said, an extra vote would not have saved her against the rest of those people. Had they voted Wendy out, I don't think they would have turned on each other. They would have voted Aubry out.
Not when they had, such an easy target in Aubry.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, just wanted to throw that out.
Okay, good deal. Thanks again, Jen. Next up, got a call from Paul.
Hey, Paul in Louisiana here, and yeah, that's what Survivor's all about. Aubry, well, the poor girl was completely bamboozled by her teammates, and yeah, she should have known, but I really can't blame her because, wow, what a great job they did in reeling her in. Maybe there's a little more to Victoria than I thought, but probably only a little. And then there's Keith, who ran out on his, tribe mates to look for an advantage on his own? I despise the kid, but that was the first time I saw any hint of game come off of him, so I can't hold that against him at all, but there's plenty of other things I can, so yeah. And isn't it funny how Reem had no problem with Chris wrestling the advantage away from Keith, yet Reem wouldn't do likewise with the box in the water. If you ask me, she's just misdirecting her anger towards Chris because she knows that she did give away that advantage, and she obviously doesn't want to hear about it, especially from the likes of Chris, who, if you asked Reem, voted everyone onto Extinction Island, including Aubry and Rick. And am I the only one out there that thought that she was going to get physical and thrown out of the game? Yeah, when she jumped out of her seat, I was actually concerned there for a minute. Which brings me to Extinction Island. Yeah, Reem and Keith are truly miserable people, which makes the island interesting. But I don't think Chris or Aubry or Rick agree with me that it's interesting. And although I'm not a fan of the idea, I will say that I'm actually interested in seeing what happens next. To me, the worst outcome for a returning player would be Keith. He just has no business in this game at all, not even in the first episode. I'm thinking that the odds are against Chris because Keith will use his nuts against him, and although that won't help Keith win, it will help everyone else, including Reem, who honestly gave the advantage away. I wholly believe that Chris will still pass out Keith in whatever it is that they do, disadvantage or not. Me, I'm thinking that Aubry or Rick will come back, and I'm leaning more towards Aubry due to sheer determination. So the big question is, who's worse, Dan? I refuse to call that pansy man Wardog. Or David? Well, let's see here. David's at a disadvantage because what you see is what you get. But Dan definitely benefits from his appearance because you just assume there's more to him. This is why you can't judge a book by its cover. In reality, the only difference between Dan and David is that David could possibly get onto a woman's baseball team, whereas Dan just couldn't. Well, now we know why Dan won't try anything. It undermines his illusion of physical dominance or superiority. And I was so glad to hear Joanne and Stacy mention that Wendy is childlike because I've been saying this for a while now, but I've also included Keith in that observation as well. They both come off as small children rather than adults, or even young adults. It's like a mentality thing. And you know what? Keith is learning nothing from his stint on here. It's all just, Chris was mean to me. So I'm assuming that whoever comes back can't be voted off during the first tribal to help give them some footing. And I'm only thinking that because it's been done that way in the past. So, in my eyes, the next best bet would be Dan Dog. Eric's tribe was seriously considering voting him out, and his own team is pretty much set against him now. And he's bossy. Hopefully his physical demeanor will get him ousted quickly now that it's every man for themselves. Had there not been a double tribe vote-off, I have no doubt that he would have been sent packing. Of course, all this is based on the assumption that Joe wins immunity because the first time he loses it, well, he'll lose a tribal as well. So I'm looking forward to learning about some of our new players since we're merging. Everyone enjoy the episode. Bye.
All right. Thanks, Paul. Yeah, it's really boiling down to that. Are the returnees going to band together? Are they going to be able to mount a 7-6 against the comma 6? That's what I'm most excited to see is how are the comma 6 going to fare? Because if you don't get the majority against them, if Joe makes a tactical mistake to try to hang in with them, then he's doomed.
Yep, I agree.
He's doomed. And I think that because they didn't do a good job of making Joe feel comfortable, they left him even with Ron's acting, they left him uneasy that's going to be enough to cause him to reach out, especially if he doesn't win. And there's an outside chance that he could win, but I go back to watching him pass out. Wasn't it in Game Changers? Wentworth was there where he was going up against Keith Nail and they were balancing on that big long pole and Joe passed out.
Yes, he did.
And that's what gives me pause of thinking about him going on an immunity tear and winning his way all the way to the end. So I think he needs some help. And I'm excited, stoked to see what's going to happen with the Comma 6. Are they going to gain an advantage at the merge and then go on triumphant?
Well, and we don't know if Aurora has any clue that if they can't get Joe, they're happy to take her.
Right, because she's just his right hand. She's put herself in the position to be the most likely target.
And that she's not in the loop.
Yeah, although now any of the returnees are bumped up on the list as targets.
Well, and any of the current Comma members, the 5 of them, they've not been to tribal at all. So we really don't know what they'll do in a pinch. That's why it'll be interesting. This will be the first tribal they've even been to.
Right. Will Victoria get scared and cut bait? Because she's already said she's willing to turn on her alliance if the need be and go in a different direction. But I want to see the tables get flipped. I want to see the Comma 6 have to play from the minority to really be tested. Like you said, now they're going to absolutely have to go to tribal, and that part of their game's going to begin. But almost want to see that happen so that you get to see what they're really made of in the context of the game. It's one thing to pull something off on Aubry like that when you've got such a huge advantage. It's another to have to really earn your way in when you don't have it in the numbers.
Okay, here's the thing. If Rick comes back, he'll join up with David and David's alliance, maybe.
Yes.
Where's Chris gonna go?
Got every reason to believe that he will basically rejoin original Manu, which is now Lesu.
Yeah, and Chris is not gonna do that. He's not gonna join those Lesu people because they voted him out. So where is Chris gonna go if he comes back?
He'll easily get suckered by Victoria.
Because they're going to want him out too.
And he'll want to be with Gavin and Eric because they offer meat shields behind Joe.
Yes, and they all want to beat Joe.
So I think he'll gravitate to the Comma 6. You're right.
Once Gavin sees that Chris has the same goal as him, why wouldn't he get rid of him? No, I can't let him be the new Joe. I want to be the new Joe.
Or thank goodness he's here because now I got him and Eric ahead of me as shields.
Well, maybe.
I get to go under the radar to get to the end because Gavin's all about the win. And I think he's strategic and smart enough to do that.
But that's where you think he'll fall. What about Aubry? Where would Aubry go? Would she try to go back to Joe and wherever he decides to land? Or she's already got Eric and Gavin and Victoria. She's not going to trust them again.
Right. And she's got the scoop on them. So she can really help share that.
With Joe and Victoria.
Right.
So, they could go over. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I said Victoria.
Yeah.
So that could, all of that's who voted them out is going to play into who comes back.
Possibly.
Wendy being the exception, I don't know that Wendy cares.
No. And if she comes back, she's just this disruptive factor that needs to be. I still think she is that, and that she's
not a threat. She could come in.
She gets a break, but then you need to get rid of her too because you just can't count on her, and she could backfire on you at any point. Yeah. No one is going to feel comfortable with her.
And I don't know where Keith and Reem would go because I never really considered that they could come back.
Yeah, I don't see them as factors either.
But we probably should, but I don't want to really. So.
Oh well, I think. Given the fact that they have the least ability to play, they would get suckered in by the Comma 6, and because they're bent on revenge.
Too. Yeah.
So
that's what I think too. I don't think they would go back into the Lesu group.
No, they don't have the good sense to protect themselves.
Yep, they'll want to stick it to them, get some revenge, and And so, yeah, I think so too.
Again, everything changes. The game is going to throw into a whole nother gear, and it's the physical threats that typically get highlighted. So this gives people an opportunity to fade into the background, to completely go under the radar to get further in the game.
That it does.
It'll give them a break of 2 or 3 game cycles at least before they have to be involved, to be a swing vote in something, to be significant in some way.
Yeah. Well, whereas if Chris comes back into the game, he's an immediate target. Let's face it. That nobody's going to want him back in the game. I'm
interested. Yeah, if he were to come back, I'm watching Eric and Gavin very closely because I'm wondering when are they going to go all out, because they're going to want to get rid of Joe. How hard are they going to push themselves? Because we've seen people do this. People who are physical threats push themselves. Well, and one of the things they can do too, especially coming off the merge feast high, is that they'll overspend themselves and they'll deplete themselves in an effort to beat that physical challenge, the one that's their target.
They'll be so obsessed and fixated on getting Joe out that they might make game mistakes.
They could wreck themselves physically for the remainder of the game.
Well, not just physically, but, forget about, playing a little lower so you're not the next biggest threat.
My point's all about the physicality of it, though, because you can end up hurting yourself in a point you can't recover. And when it comes to Lauren, she's still a bit of a wild card. Yes, she's got an idol, but her inability to eat suggests that even at the merge feast, she may have a problem with refeeding. And she's got significant days in not eating, and so she may not be able to keep down any of those nutrients either. There's something else going on with her, and so I'm a little concerned with her longevity.
She seems to do well and pull her energy up for the challenges.
This is where athletic women will have an advantage too, because she came in with a little extra fat on her, and women in general carry more fat. That's an energy store that they can tap into, where the buff guys or people like Wardog who tried to stay lean, they didn't come in with any energy reserves, and now they're having to cannibalize their muscle to get energy stores back. So that's where the women have some advantage, but her inability to keep food down, that's a pretty significant thing. I'm be watching closely to see if we get any clues as to how she fares in the merge feast. If she powers back up, boom, 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 and she's all of a sudden re-energized and, back to beast mode, or if it's because that's gonna really knock her down if she can't hold any of those nutrients from the merge feast. If only the merge was a double episode too.
That would be great.
Here's an odd little twist. It turns out that with that double episode, they were down about 500,000 viewers. It's one of the lowest viewer ratings that they had. They won their slot for the night, but there was a big drop with that. As much as we all enjoyed it, for some reason the numbers were down. So I'm looking for a rebound on the merge episode. I didn't double check to see if the games, if March Madness was the reason for that or what. I'm not quite sure what was going on, but it was a fair drop. They had dropped that low last season a little bit too, though. So, and they rebounded. So hopefully that'll happen.
Well, let us know if anybody knows. I was still looking at the people that might come back, and I think Rick has a pretty good chance to be a little bit more under the radar, because the Lesu people know him and they're afraid of him and what he could do. But the other people, the majority, really don't know him. And he is way less threatening. To look at him or look at Chris, well, they're going to want to get Chris out immediately. With Rick, they're like, oh, yeah, well, we'll get to know the guy. We'll see, I think they would give him more of a chance. Aubry, again, returning player. They are going to want her out. Wendy, like you said, she could be annoying. They just can't trust her, so that'd be a reason to get her out.
She offers no value.
Yeah.
You can't count on her vote.
But Keith and Reem wouldn't necessarily appear to be threats.
Oh, definitely not.
So they could just fall under the radar too.
Well, because it's the merge, that's absolutely the case.
Yeah.
were it to be them. I'll be most disappointed if it's them because
Oh yeah, me
this
too.
This is where part of me wants it to be that they have an option to go back out there. The other part of me would like to just sort of clear the board and have a do-over. Since we know there are going to be people going to Extinction still, Edge of Extinction, I'd almost want so that I didn't have to hear any more from Reem or Keith. That's how much I don't enjoy them.
I guess it would be harder for me to lose Rick than anybody.
Yeah, but that's already happened, so.
Yeah, I know.
Now I've processed that and we're moving on.
Yet.
Yeah. All right, yep. Looking forward to seeing who ends up lingering. We want to say a big thank you to everybody who took time to send in your thoughts and predictions. Good job. How many did we have?
26, I believe.
26. Fantastic. You guys have just been blowing it out here on the listener feedback shows on Saturdays. Great job. And we'd also like to thank Jarrett and Emily for your donations. We greatly appreciate your financial support. That means a lot to us, and it helps with our operational costs.
And if you play JSFL, don't forget to get your picks in before the deadline, 7:30 Eastern Time, 4:30 Pacific on Wednesdays. Also, we have a JSFL update. All of the eliminated players have been reactivated in anticipation of at least one of them returning to the game in the next episode. If you want to take a chance on picking one of them as a safe choice or to be voted out, that's your decision.
Mm-hmm.
But the players who do not return to the game will be deactivated before the scoring happens. So if you pick them and they are then deactivated for not coming back into the game, you cannot earn any points on them.
What was Jeremiah's question? He wanted to know on Facebook. You said he wanted to know
was
if
it a bold move if he chose
people from Edge of Extinction as safe? Is that what it was?
Safe or out or whatever. So
bold.
I would say that's somewhat bold, yeah.
Yeah, it depends on who it is, I
or
think.
stupid, however it turns out. Sorry, Jeremiah.
That's what she says about
Stacey,
me.
Yeah.
That's her definition of my bold choices.
It didn't turn out to be bold. All of a sudden, it just seems stupid. Well, that's how I feel when I do it, too. I'm going to be bold this week. That was so stupid. What did you do that for?
That's your assessment. Yes.
Yeah, that's my assessment of me. So,
coming down to how you manage those safe points. So, we're about to hit the second half of the game where it gets more interesting.
Could be an advantage.
You can only have an active castaway safe 6 times, and then you're out. You have no more points.
You can't use them as safe again after 6 times. So that this is the part of the game where that starts to come into play.
It can be a factor.
If you've chosen someone that goes deep in the game and you chose them a lot to be safe already.
How have you managed your safe points? Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I need to look at that too, don't I?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Got to go figure out how many episodes are left till the final 4.
It ends on May. The finale's May 15th.
May 15th.
Yep. So have to go take a look at that. All right. Good job, everyone. Have a good one.